Hey BookTube, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel, The Book Bag. So before we start, I just want to say that my shirt is from a movie called Pride. It's from, I think, 2014, and it's about the mining strike in England, and I loved it so much that I bought like these shirts. It's based on like a true story as well, where they had this fundraiser to like raise money for the miners, and I bought this shirt from Gaze the Word in England and had it shipped all the way to Canada. But just like a, not disclaimer, but like a little fun fact about my shirt. I'll really watch that movie. It's incredible. It's so funny. It's got so many good actors in it. And I just love it so much. It makes me cry and laugh, and it's, I think, probably my favorite movie of all time. Anyways, moving on past the fashion decisions that were made today. Today I'm going to be talking about sort of a year-long TBR almost. At the beginning of the year, there was this little graphic going around to have 12 friends recommend you 12 books that you could read during the next 12 months of the year. And I thought that was super fun, and I was like, I have 12 people that I can get to recommend me things. So I asked a bunch of my friends to give me recommendations, and I thought I'd turn that into a little video as a hopeful TBR for this year. And I think it'll help me broaden my reading horizons, introduce me to some new kinds of books, some new genres, maybe some new favorite authors, or maybe I'll just be like, man, you and I have extremely different reading tastes and I could never. Here is what I'm in for in 2022. So first off, my friend Iliana recommended me to read any of the books by Yrsa Sigurdardottir. I don't know how to say her name. I spent a good 10 minutes looking for people saying her name, but it was all people being like, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's an Icelandic writer and she writes thrillers. I'm not a huge thriller reader, and I don't know if I've really read anything by an Icelandic author before, so I'm kind of intrigued. Hopefully they're not too scary, or I will be sending my nightlight bills to my friend. Next up, we have Transcendent Kingdom by Gyasi. This was recommended to me by Luam, and it's about a Ghanaian family in Alabama, deals with subjects of depression, addiction, grief, science, religion, love, all sorts of stuff. This family, their relationships with each other, with their work, with the outside world, being Black in Alabama. And it sounds really interesting. I've heard really good things about this one, but I have just never gotten around to pick it up. And now I will have to, so thank you. Next up from Quinn is any book by Helen Hoang. So Helen Hoang writes romance books, often, always? Maybe always. She writes romance books featuring autistic characters. My friend did give me leave to pick any of Helen Hoang's books that I think I might enjoy best. They are a little bit steamier than I tend to read in romance, but I'm intrigued to see what they're like because my friend really loves them. So we're gonna give it a shot. Next up, my friend Armand recommended The Rest is Noise, Listening to the 20th Century by Alex Ross. This is a history of music throughout the 20th century. My friend is a conductor, so of course he recommended this book. But it sounds interesting. I don't know a ton about music history, but I trust his taste, so we'll see. It could be super interesting. It might also just be for like incredible music nerds like him, but I'll give it a go. Next up, my friend Gyasi recommended that I read Candide by Voltaire. This is a classic. It's from the 18th century. It's satire about the philosophical idea of optimism, kind of like the main character, Candide, believes that he is living in the best possible world despite all of these horrible things happening to him, and he's just like relentlessly optimistic, and it's kind of a satirical take on that. I might try and read this in French. I'm not sure yet. I'll definitely read it in English, but I might also give it a shot in French. It's been a while since I've read a French book, but I was in French immersion all the way from kindergarten through grade 12, and I did 3 years of university with at least half my classes in French. So I'd like to give it a try. I was reading a little bit, like a little snippet of it, and it doesn't seem like it's super old-timey French, which can be a real struggle. I had a class where I had to read super old-timey French, and it was like brain melting, but maybe I'll try and read it in French. Work those muscles a little. Next up, we have The Boy in the Moon by Ian Brown. This is recommended to me by Anna. and it is a non-fiction book about a dad, and his son is one of the 300 people in the world who has CFC. I will put what that is, the word, up here. I'm not going to try and say it. It's a long medical word. I don't know. But it's basically about the dad trying to like accept his son as he is, as well as try and find a cure for this or ways to like cope with it. And it sounds really emotional, but also like really good. I love those kind of like sad memoirs. I don't know what that says about me, but I'm very intrigued by this one. So my boyfriend Wesley recommended that I read The Future of Life by Edward O. Wilson, but this is from 2002. I have in my notes that it's 10 years old, but that actually makes it 20 years old. But Edward O. Wilson is a very respected scientist, and this is a 20-year-old route to how to save ourselves from the effects of climate change. Basically, it's about environmentalism and things that we can do to protect life as we know it. So I'm really interested to see how it stands up, like, were his predictions correct? Is this still, just as relevant as it was 20 years ago? Yeah, I'm interested to see how the book has aged, especially with like the insane climate things that are happening right now, where I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm starting to feel the effects of climate change. This past year, the weather all over the world has been bonkers with like the fires and the droughts and the crazy cold and the crazy hot. And it's just like, I don't know how anyone's denying climate change, but it's certainly feeling...
It was he who would chance the perilous journey through blistering cold and scorching desert.
Very dramatic out there. Next up, my friend Amelia recommended Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This is a thriller. I've seen the movie, which I really enjoyed. It was just on the very limits of how much like gore and scariness I can take, but I really did enjoy it, and I actually have one of Gillian Flynn's other books that I wanted to read, Sharp Objects. So maybe I'll just like do a little Gillian Flynn marathon at some point. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this thriller about a woman who like stages her disappearance and like runs off and then frames her husband for it. Next up, we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was recommended to me by my friend Jenny, and if you have not heard this book, you obviously are not on book social media anywhere, because it's been all over like TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Everywhere I look, everyone's reading this book, everyone loves it. I do have it on hold at the library already. I'm just like number 126 or something in line on like 30 copies. So it'll be a while before I get it in. But this actually is an adult romance that started out as a Rey/Kylo Ren fanfic, like from Star Wars, which kind of puts me off of it because I'm not a fan of that ship. Like, it's really toxic. I don't know. I've never read any fan fiction about them, and I don't ever want to, but Kylo Ren's like a real terrible person who like literally tortures Rey, and I don't understand why people are like, oh my god, they're in love. And I'm like, yeah, no, he's hurting her. Anyways, it started out as that. Obviously it's not that anymore. It follows characters called Adam and Olive, like Adam Driver, who plays Kylo Ren. Like, did they even try? Anyways, I need to just let it go because I don't want to read this book with, being a little bit biased against it. Okay, anyways, but this follows Adam and Olive, she's a grad student, he is a professor, and they start like fake dating and obviously fall for each other, yada yada yada. You know the idea. So I've heard that it reads a little bit like fanfic in a good way, that it's just like really like kind of silly, funny, very romantic. I have had a few spoilers. I've heard people talk about different aspects of the book that sound incredibly cringy, but I'm excited because I do enjoy reading fan fiction. Like, there's some really good fan fiction out there that's incredibly well written, like better than some books that I've read. So I'm hoping it's kind of that genre of fan fiction and not like the real cringy stuff that is sometimes out there. All right, next up, my friend Katie recommended me Paddlenorth by Jennifer Kingsley. This is another nonfiction book. This is about a group of people who canoe through the Arctic, so like some of the most rugged settings in the world, and they're just like, we're gonna go canoeing there. But she's definitely recommended this book to me before, and I keep meaning to read it, and then I keep forgetting to like put it on hold. So this way, I'm like, I gotta read it this year. But yeah, it sounds like kind of a like nature-themed nonfiction, and so I'm excited about that. Up next, we have The Enchanted April by Elizabeth van Arnim. This is another classic. It's actually written in 1922 about 4 women who come to Italy and rent this like castle together, and they're trying to escape their like problems with men in their life, basically. And it was actually made into a film and filmed at like the location it said in the book. So that's really cool. I actually got this from my friend for Christmas. Thank you, Emma. And she says it's like a really great comfort read, especially in April, and that the movie's also really good. So maybe I will read this and then watch the movie and see how they compare. That's kind of giving me like Room with a View vibes a little bit, and I really like that classic, so I'm hoping I enjoy this one too. Alright, my last recommendation for this video is from my friend Nathaniel, and that is War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This is another classic. I don't know why my friends are recommending me to read all these classics, but it's fine. I don't read a ton of them, so that's fair. But it is a sci-fi book. I don't actually know really anything about it, to be honest. All I can picture is like the one cover where they've got the little like dome things on tripods. They're like shooting at people. I don't know, it's sci-fi. There's a war between worlds, I guess. But we'll just see how it is. Hopefully it's a good classic, not too hard to read, because sometimes I really struggle with those books when they're written in ye olden days, and it can be tough. But those are the 12 books that are for sure books I need to read in 2022. Those are recommendations from my friends, and we'll see whether I like them, whether I have friends with good taste, or if my taste matches my friends, and I'll keep you updated. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Support the miners. I feel like we have to give a disclaimer and be like, it's from a movie! I don't know how to dress myself. It's fine.